Wow, these Kevins really know how to party. Wonder who they learned it from. Whoa! Yes, Kevin, the Bangkok Adonis. Me and wifey been to Thailand before. It was, passable. The client that I worked for had a small research and development center in Thailand. For this assignment, I tended to fly in every couple weeks and stay for a few days to help the staff out with specific problems they encountered while I was away, and helping them with regulatory requirements that they needed to implement. The development center is a small group of people and a mix of young local Thai and expats from mostly Europe and Asia. The expats enjoyed the nightlife in Bangkok a lot, and on occasion, I would join them. I've seen all the nightlife, go-go bars and strip clubs, and been in all the right and wrong of Soy's alleys with a good crowd. Good times? Good times. I guess if that's what you're into, I'm not in a place to judge. But really, schmecks tourists do make me sick. Men being men. Oh yeah, just write it all off. That's fine. Subjugate an entire country. It's just boys being boys, right? I hate this already, I gotta be honest. From time to time, some of them ended up with a girl in their rooms and a couple of thousand baht less in their wallet a few hours later. But all the expats understood that while you can have a good time with a girl like that, you should stay level-headed and understand that you are basically just paying for a fantasy. It's not a maintainable lifestyle. Pay your bills, stay safe, don't cause trouble, have your moment of happiness, and move on. They all understood this. Kevin, however, did not. Oh God, he's gonna get sprung off a bar girl, isn't he? I've seen it happen a few times in the Philippines. It never turns out well. So let's just gather around for the dumpster fire. Kevin was a new expat in the team, coming from the main branch, and managed to get his way into the Bangkok office because he was sort of having like a midlife crisis. Older fellow in his mid-40s, but looking closer to the late 50s. That old and still, oh, this is sad. He didn't seem to be too bright, and he didn't think about things too much. His work was mediocre at best, and his personality was best described as boring, though he tried to be one of the cool old guys. Emphasis on tried. For the record, I don't think none of y'all are cool. Hey, look, I bought a human being for the night. Wow, cool. Not to be exclusionary, they invited Kevin to go out with them on a Friday night. I happened to be in Bangkok as well, and as his introduction to the nightlife, they decided to hit up places of vice, lust, and greed. Mr. Boring loved every minute of it. A little bit too much, if you asked me, and it would be the start of a wild time in his life with progressively worse decisions. Midlife crisis is tough, man. Just buy a Corvette. It'll be cheaper in the long run. The problem is that putting someone like Kevin in an environment like this is that they start to feel invincible and empowered by their newfound attention by girls half their age, attractive or not, and his decision-making, which was already bordering on bad, soon took a turn for the worst. He was like a kid in a candy shop. While hesitant at first, he ended the night in the early hours of the morning, going home with a girl that had a look on her face saying, yeah, better than nothing, I guess. And I felt for her. Yeah, you gotta make that money. That newfound attention thing is totally real too. You see dudes that couldn't get the time of day in the States and they come over here and they're like, girls are actually interested? I better become a philanderer. Which, I mean, if you're single, that's what you choose to do. I guess that's fine, but most of the times I see it, they got a wife and kid. It's shameful, dude. Anyways, Kevin came in on Monday morning, clearly hungover and exhausted. Hey, high five. Apparently he had caught the bug. Ew. And he spent Saturday and Sunday night in the same districts and sleeping with another few girls. Well, he had his fun. Nobody at the office cared too much and they left him alone. Rite of passage, they called it. Welcome to Bangkok. Yep, still gross, but okay. When the next Friday came around, they wanted to go out with the boys again, but to the usual clubs that they went to, avoiding the worst of the lust and vice and greed that the city offers, and they just wanted to have some fun between themselves. Yeah, like normal human beings. I sign off on that. Kevin became agitated, like a little kid, and kept pestering them to go to new places that he hadn't been yet. It is really creepy seeing an older man be a predatory man-child. That's been most of my experience with the expats over here. Eventually, some of them relented and took him to some other places that he hadn't been yet. I left on Sunday, but from the chat that I had with one of the guys, I heard that he came in late and hungover and exhausted again on Monday. The chat died down after that. I was busy with many other assignments and forgot all about it. He was boring after all, and someone sleeping with hookers, well, that's not exactly exciting material. And I suppose that's true. If you're not tied down or anything, go enjoy yourself, have a good time, but don't make it weird. And you know Kevin is gonna make it weird. So I came back 6 weeks later and I got a big update. Apparently Kevin had kept up this behavior, and while his work didn't suffer too much, probably because it wasn't very good to begin with, some people were starting to get concerned enough about him a few weeks in. One seasoned expat, sexpat, ew, that had seen it all, and two of the Thai guys took him aside to talk to him about having to slow down and the cautionary tales of people that had done the same as him. He said he would quit in the end, and it seemed to work for a while, but things were about to get a whole lot worse. Oh good, we can fall further. I was waiting for that. While Kevin stopped going with them on Friday and Saturday nights, he seemed to go at it alone for most of the week. He knew where to go now, and nobody told him what to do. The girls loved him and understood him, even though they didn't speak English, besides the little fragments that they picked up and quoting the price for drinks and for fun. That's like 2 of the 3 universal languages, sex and money, right? The last one's music, I'm pretty sure. He decided to continue, and the guys decided that they had warned him enough and that he was old enough to make his own decisions. Yeah, he damn old to be acting like this. No matter how poor his decisions were, they would just listen to him complain and laugh it off between them and wait until his year abroad was finally finished. By the time I got back a few weeks later, a whole lot had happened. One of the girls he met told him that she wanted out of the business, and he ended up offering her a non-existent job as an office manager at the company. He had no rights to offer anybody anything. Yeah, let me impress you with this job that doesn't exist. He offered her a salary that was even more ridiculous. Surprisingly enough, she had shown up on Monday morning at the office to start her new job, confusing everybody there. Eventually, they did get her to go home. Oh, that's sad, dude. She's like, I want to quit, but I got no way out. Then Kevin put on his cape and turned into Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm sure they'll make room for you. No, bro. Who are you? At some point in the conversation, it became clear that Kevin wasn't using rubbers with these girls unless they were bothersome about it. He never had an STD test done. Oh boy. Kevin thought that was for gays only. And genuinely thought that rubbers were for pregnancy only. And the only STD that existed was HIV and AIDS, and since he wasn't having sex with ladyboys or gays, I mean, he was totally fine, right? Right? Kevin. He's a simple man. And honestly, ignorance isn't necessarily an excuse, because they got billboards in Thailand. As soon as you land in the airport, they're like, hey, watch out. Kevin got worried after he was told that that is not how it is. And when he had a test done, he found out that he had chlamydia. And he made sure that everyone at the office knew that he had it. He was going to die and wish he knew about this earlier. The truth was that nobody wished to know that he had chlamydia. Did nobody tell him that that's curable? You think that will make him stop? You think that will make him start using rubbers? I doubt it. He's a Kevin through and through. At some point, he learned about in-call massages and gave our business address to a girl that did these massages. That's what you're doing on your lunch break, huh? He didn't see anything wrong with getting massaged with a happy ending at work. He was surprised that the Thai guys looked at him as if he had lost his mind. This is normal in Thai culture, right? Right? It's accepted, but just barely, I think. Much like in the Philippines, they'll take your money, but I don't think they're too happy about it. Needless to say, the girl and Kevin were both sent away that day. He had become regular enough to be recognized by most of the girls in the bars, and if they can get a regular guy for steady income, well, they'll play the game, and they'll cry crocodile tears about cheating on her when he's seen with other girls. Kevin was very susceptible to this, and every other week he would be at work clearly concerned about this fake drama and which girl he should choose over the other one, and tell it to everyone who, again, did not want to hear any of it. You realize this is all fake, don't you, Kevin? No, he doesn't. He's like, yeah, she's really my girlfriend. Getting some heavy Chris Trucker vibes right now. Kevin kept telling everyone that he loved Thai food. Thai sushi is so nice. Turns out he had mostly been in Japanese restaurants around this area. Bangkok does have a sizable Japanese population, hence the restaurants. When they eventually took him to a Thai local restaurant, he boasted that he could do the spicy. Nah, dude. He obviously couldn't. Then he'd spend the entire night telling everyone how spicy it was. At least the moments that he was able to talk. Like, yeah, dude, we've been here longer than you. We know how spicy it is. That's why I don't order it spicy, because I want to be able to actually taste my food. But Kevin, you know, he big dumb, obviously got something to prove. Even though he was warned, Kevin thought that looking like a big spender would make him more attractive for the right ladies. Bro, the right lady, she ain't in a bar, okay? He got popular enough, for sure. And at the end of the night, the guy was 15,000 baht. That's like 425 US dollars or euros lighter. And he had to replace all of his cards, including his ID. And there are definitely some scams out there in Thailand. If you go into a bar and the drink price isn't listed, leave. Just don't even ask questions, just leave. But of course, Kevin didn't learn his lesson the first time, and he got his wallet stolen another 2 times in just 4 weeks, racking up another 50,000 baht in damages. That's like 1,400 US dollars or euros before he finally learned his lesson. I can't even feel bad for him, man. He earned all of this, you know? He was told that he would need a re-entry stamp from immigration to keep his visa valid if he was going abroad, which he did on a weekend trip. He was reminded by the other expats, company documentation, and it's stamped in his passport, and he still managed to not do any of it, causing his visa to become invalidated. But because he was allowed a tourist visa, they still let him back in. By the time he found out that he had been overstaying for weeks and ended up having to hire a visa lawyer to get things sorted out, that's how he made a 900 baht, like 25 USD or euro stamp, and a couple hours of his time into like tens of thousands of baht in fees and fines for immigration. Well, I'm sure the royal government of Thailand thanks you for your donation, Kevin. Really is just the biggest dumb. You need to stay on top of these things, okay? If you don't know, if you can't find the information for yourself, ask somebody, for God's sake. But that's not a Kevin thing to do, seeking out information, I guess. So you would think by the time I came back to Bangkok, well, he would have gotten bored of it and straightened his life out, but no. Not Kevin. Things only got worse for him. So by the time I came back, they told me the story of when he wandered into a ladyboy bar. Honest mistake. It's hard to see sometimes. Some don't specify it. Some are mixed, and, well, when you're drunk, it sort of all blends together anyways. Tell me that you've partaken without telling me you've partaken, OP. The guys that he was with didn't mind. and didn't tell him anything to mess with him. Now, what they didn't know was that Kevin was a bit of a bigot about this. Eventually, he found out when he was already down a sizable amount of money, and Mr. Boring became Mr. Angry, who refused to pay for his and the ladies' drinks. Lady drinks are the high-priced drinks that you have to pay for each girl sitting next to you for around 10 minutes. And he started shouting every trans slur that he could think of, and most there didn't understand him, luckily. Yeah, I think that could very easily be met with violence. I'm sure if they did understand, they would have dragged Kevin out back. Eventually, he paid and left, mostly because the club called in their security, and Kevin was in no state or shape to do anything with them, or so he thought. Before he would leave, he reached out to hit the ladyboy that he had trouble with, though it was more of a weak slap. But to her credit, that ladyboy could pull a punch still, and gave him a nice bruise on his face. Yeah, that was an inevitability. I knew the violence was coming. You can't just let stuff like that slip. After that incident, he was surprisingly silent around the office. I guess it hurt his masculinity and ego. Maybe that was all he needed to bring himself back to reality. I left without further incident and wouldn't be back for another 6 months because the project I worked on with them wrapped up, and the new one would not require me until another 6 months in. When I came back, Kevin wasn't there anymore. Asking what happened to this Adonis of the Bangkok nightlife, I got the rest of the story. Apparently, he had found love in one of the bars. A girl called Tree, they told me. Obviously, not her real name. Thai nicknames are really weird like that. Me and wifey met a girl named Bicycle out there. He quit his job in the days after, which invalidated his visa, and he definitely knew after last time, and he eloped with this girl. Oh my God. He's Captain Save-A-Ho for real. Nobody had heard from him in months until he sent one of the expat guys a message on Instagram telling him, Thailand was a terrible country. He had been fined and deported based on the fact that he had no valid visa and wished that he had never come to Thailand. I'm sure the Thai people feel roughly the same way. Kevin also said that he wished he never met all those women because all they wanted was his money. You just figuring that out? It's adorable. Tree had left him as soon as the money had run out. Well, yeah, Kevin, everybody warned you. TLDR, Kevin goes to work in Thailand, searches for love in all the wrong places, goes off the rails despite ample warnings and advice, and ends up being deported. Okay, so not the clearest cut example of a Kevin that we've ever seen, but it's close enough, and it fits in closely with all these other expat losers that I see running around in the Philippines. It's just inherently hilarious to me. Yes, you can come live like the Maharaja until the money runs out, and then nobody wants to be a friend no more, Kevin, because you got no personality outside of that, Kevin. I mean, kinda he does, but it's an ugly personality that nobody in their right mind would want to associate with. So good, go back to the States, be a nobody again. It's nothing but what you deserve. Episode still a little bit short. Let's go ahead, jump into another Kevin story, and we'll see what else we got here. Kevin and the Coke. Hey, I told you, they like to party, bro. Buddy, even whoa. I'm gonna tell y'all a stupid story, and I'm gonna tell it just the way that I remember it. Yes, it's about a Kevin, but I'm not gonna spare myself here either. I used to be a dumbass too. Well, admitting you have a problem is a first step to fixing it, so I'm not gonna judge you too hard, OP. I don't have much of a defense, except that I'm from Florida, and this took place there. Florida man. Maybe that's all the defense I need. I don't really know. I do grant people from Florida like a lot of leeway, okay? This story happened during and because of my employment at a Radio Shack. Oh, I used to work at a Radio Shack for a little bit. It's like my first job ever. And it is a sales job, and much like a used cars dealership or whatever, it gets a little bit rowdy. If you didn't already know, Radio Shack workers used to be the absolute freaking party animals back in the day. Probably why Radio Shack shut down, honestly. We're all hungover. I tell you this because no one out there seems to understand just how hard a nerd can go, and because it's germane to the story. So yeah, I was working at a Radio Shack in South Florida, and we had just completed our inventory. God, man, the memories just come flooding back. Anyone who has worked in retail knows just how awful and tedious and freakishly time-consuming an inventory can be. Since this happened back in the 1980s before QR codes and phasers came out, we had to find, count, and record each resistor, transformer, and capacitor. Every fucking item in the whole store by hand, with nothing but pen and paper. And oh boy, did Radio Shack have like a lot of little parts. Probably one of the reasons they went under, honestly. Now you can find the parts a lot easier and cheaper online. Of course, this whole task was mind-numbingly dull, and the process took several days to complete. This was also back when the movie Titanic came out, and the company had some kind of eldritch corporate partnership which required us to play that abominable song on repeat all damn day. I'm so glad I missed out on that one. You know the name of the song. Don't make me say it. Naturally, out of self-preservation and sheer desperation, many of us employees resorted to unholy amounts of drugs and alcohol. Oh, come on, that's just an excuse. You know you liked it. All right, I need to pause the story for a second so I can ask you guys a question. Have you ever had someone sidle up to you? Like actually crab walk sideways and then kind of slide the last 2 steps up to you? Like Kramer from Seinfeld? Hey. Well, if you haven't, let me tell you that it's just as weird and off-putting as you're probably imagining. I bring this up only because that's the thing I think about whenever someone mentions Kevin. For story purposes, you guys should know something about Kevin. I don't have enough characters in this subreddit to do his existence justice, so I will just give you a basic synopsis. This guy was something else. I'll qualify that statement by saying that he once got stranded for 4 years in Brazil after a falling out with his prison pen pal girlfriend. Yeah, he makes some good decisions, doesn't he? And before you ask why a Brazilian would write to an American inmate, I'll explain that he wasn't the ex-con. She was. I presume that much. He found her through the back pages of some magazine. The story of how Kevin learned about long-distance telephone charges goes here, but I'll save that tale for another time. I'd read it. Probably be a lot shorter than this one, though. When this girl finally kicked Kevin out of her house, something to do with identity theft, smuggling, and exotic parrots. You can't make this stuff up. Kevin attempted to force the American government to send his broke ass back to the United States by literally lying on the street outside of the embassy and wailing like a banshee on bath salts. As you can see, Kevin was not the sharpest of tacks. Yet none of that's gonna work. I've seen Americans be stranded in the Philippines. It's not a good life, and the embassy, really, they can only do so much. Sorry for the interruption here, but OP just wanted to make sure that you guys understood a little something about Kevin before we continued telling the tale. So, back to the story. It was around 10 p.m., and we had just finished reconciling the inventory counts for the last time. Done! Finally! While it did turn out to be an excellent inventory, it was particularly long and grueling, and we were all exhausted and hangry by the end of it. My boss, being awesome, decided to celebrate by picking up a bunch of beer and pizzas and inviting us all back to his house. Radio Shack does create some close bonds, you know? It's pretty weird. After work, I used to go blaze with this lady coworker of mine. I was in a relationship at the time, but she was gorgeous. Probably way out of my league, but I think she was into me. That's why she invited me back to her house, right? She showed me her nipple rings one time. Man, I missed the boat on that. Anyways, this is technically where the actual story starts, because this is when Kevin sidled up to me in the parking lot and asked me if I wanted to go with him real quick to pick up a bag of coke. That sounds like a really bad idea, man. I guess I'm not the sharpest of tacks either, because I agreed to go. Yeah, that's trouble. I had a car, but Kevin insisted on driving. This was a problem because Kevin drove this busted-ass 1976 Lincoln Continental. It was probably a beautiful example of American automotive engineering in its day, with its original deep dark green paint job and flippy headlights, but now it was decrepit. The seats were sticky, where they weren't completely threadbare, and the exterior was a veritable museum of failed cosmetic repairs. This thing was covered in primer, missing all but one of its hubcaps, and the glove box oozed some vile amalgamation of spilled coffee and shea butter. Because you see, Kevin had a skin condition. Well, at least he's trying to get it taken care of. The hubcap thing is what weirds me out, bro. Quit hanging on to the last one. Just pack it in, you know? Hang that last one up on the wall so you can remember a time when you had all four hubcaps. The car smelled just awful. Like a dead squirrel filled with old Arby's and whipped cream and then left to rot in the tropical sun. We don't generally get those descriptions in Kevin's stories, but I love it. If I'm being honest here, I rather appreciated the shea butter and coffee. In that car, the ooze was a feature. This OP's awesome, dude. Standing there in the pale, washed out light of the Radio Shack sign, I weighed my options and made my decision. I laid an old hoodie strategically over the passenger seat and climbed in. Smart. After all, free drugs was always worth a bit of hardship, right? Well, wrong. After a surprisingly uneventful drive, we get to his friend's place. We went inside, and when he came out, he was bouncing and armed with this huge 8-ball. I mean, this guy really did him right. The very sight of this thing made me super excited to get back to my boss's house so we could get down to some serious hoovering. I have hoovered a bit in my day. I don't think I was into it when I was working at Radio Shack, though. There was this guy that used to come in right before closing all the time, and he's like, "Hey, man, you like to party?" I'm like, sure, dude. And he gave me his phone number. And then the girl that I work with was like, "You know what he's talking about, right?" "No, I don't. I'm 18. I'm innocent." She's like, "I think he wants to sell you coke." And I'm like, "Oh, well, no, not gonna do that." Kevin put the car into gear and began to talk. I was ignoring this as irrelevant, absorbed in my own thoughts, when all of a sudden, Kevin hit a trash can. Because I wasn't sure if the hit was intentional, I glanced over. Uh-oh. Kevin was bent over, sweating and bug-eyed, fidgeting with the radio and simultaneously glancing back and forth between the rearview mirror and the side mirrors. Worried, I sat in watchful silence as he navigated his way out of the neighborhood. His conversation never faltered, even when we dinged the mailbox. Damn. I guess he was testing some of the product when he was in the house, wasn't he? With a sinking feeling, I realized that his gills were way past geeked. It was now around 11:30, and traffic had begun thinning out. His driving had deteriorated exponentially since leaving his friend's place, and I was only just then coming to terms with the fact that the reward, fat though it was, might not be worth the imminent disaster that I could now see barreling down upon me. I mean, it's the 90s, there's no Uber, but maybe you could get out at the next gas station and call a taxi. Anything to get the hell out of this car. I knew then that this night was going to end badly. Something was going to happen. Something bad. My mind raced. Shit. We got drugs. Kevin is driving. Kevin is driving this car. Fuck. Oh my God. Capital F-U-C-K. Next stoplight, bro. Bail out of the car, bro. Tuck and roll, bro. This vehicle is obviously held together by a combination of prayer, spray foam, and Bondo. Also, he's got no registration and an expired license. What are you doing? Why do you choose to live this way? I know all of this because Kevin told me after we left with the Coke. Kevin told me a lot of things during that drive. He answered a lot of questions about himself that I never asked, and he probably answered them really fast like this. In fact, Kevin was so deep in cocaine conversation that he missed a critical turn on the main highway. Upon realizing that he missed this turn, he waited for the next intersection, and against my desperate protestations, immediately cut across 3 lanes of traffic and slung that huge boat of a car around in a U-turn. Jesus Christ. While rather graceful, the move was illegal, and there was an unmarked police car behind us. Oh my God. We're going to jail, bro. We're going to jail.
I'm going to jail!
I freaked out. Then when the cop lit up its lights, I freaked out again, this time loud. "You freaking moron!" I yelled. Kevin pulled over, except Kevin didn't pull over to his right, like any normal human being would do. No, he pulled over to his left, into a turn lane. Cop's like, oh boy, this kid's geeked out of his mind. I don't even have to see his face. The cop pulled up behind us and waited, probably confused. And I think it was this confusion that saved me. I say me instead of we, because at this moment, Kevin decided that he had it all under control. If I remember the sequence of events correctly, and I will never forget what I witnessed in those few moments, Kevin winked at me and then proceeded to pull the Coke bag out of his pocket and empty it into his mouth. Oh my God. That's enough to kill a horse, bro. What are you doing? Then he started chewing. I should tell you that this was like a solid 3.7 grams of yellow flake Coke, hard as a rock and uncut. It was huge. Choke it down and die of a heart attack or go to jail. We all make decisions. I sat awed and mesmerized at the scene unfolding before me. The red and blue lights flashing into the interior of the car made the whole thing even more surreal. All I could think was, oh my God, he's eating it. He's eating it. He's eating a whole 8-ball of blow. Wait, he's the driver. Instantly frightened and struggling to overpower the creeping sense of horror shivering up my spine, I screamed at him. Something along the lines of, "What the fuck? What are you doing, you idiot?" And that's the exact moment when Kevin realized that he had royally screwed up. Generally, when one gets pulled over by the police, they expect a coherent response, even in South Florida. "I can't feel my mouth, officer." He flung the car door open and dashed into the night. This is comedy gold, dude. I mean, he is amped up. He got the juice in him. He's gonna be fine. He can outrun a greyhound. I can only imagine the consternation of the police officer behind us as Kevin abandoned his car and bounded away into a neighborhood. I can't breathe, dude. I sat frozen in the passenger seat, amazed and stunned as the cop car behind me disengaged and took off down the side street after him. To this day, I don't know if there was only one police officer in that police car or if he or she was operating under some regulation that made a driver more important than a passenger. It may have just been that I was a small chick in a huge car and therefore camouflaged against the seat. I really just don't know. All I do know is that Kevin was gone. The cop was gone and I was sitting in a running vehicle in the middle of the road. So yeah, I took off. That is the smartest move you could have made. What the hell are you gonna do? Wait for them to come back? Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. In what I can only describe as a semi-fugue state, I drove Kevin's car back to the Radio Shack. After dropping off his car and getting mine, I drove to my boss's place, determined to get my fair share of pizza and beer in recompense for this fiasco of a night, and also to inform my boss that he would have to open the store tomorrow because Kevin was most likely not going to make it in on time. I was regaling everyone with the story of just why he wouldn't make it when the front door banged open and Kevin stumbled in. Dude, what? He made it? How did his heart not explode yet? I'm not exaggerating when I say it was like one of those old West saloon scenes. You know, the ones where the whole place quiets when the hero enters? It was just like that. Except instead of a hero gliding, it was Kevin flopping. He was soaking wet and disheveled, wide-eyed, completely out of breath, and his shirt was missing. His exposed torso and arms were crisscrossed with deep scratches and abrasions. He looked like he had been in a fight for his life, which I mean, technically, I guess he was. A fight for his freedom at the very least. Taking off the shirt's maybe a good idea too. If you're ever running from the cops and you can change your clothes, never mind, I'm not giving out tips. We all must have been staring at him in silent astonishment. I know that I was. Kevin squished into the room and collapsed wetly into a chair. In a garbled voice, he asked me if I had his car keys. And then, relieved with my answer, he motioned for a beer. Okay, get the guy a beer. He's had a hell of a night. Turns out he did manage to successfully evade the cops that night. At the last moment, he found a drainage canal and jumped in. Fortunately, this saved him from arrest, but unfortunately, he wasn't alone in that canal. According to Kevin, an alligator chased him, because we are in Florida. Chased him through a bunch of thorny brush out of the water and then up into a yard. He said he was terrified almost to death, but he couldn't scream for help because his mouth was frozen from all that coke. He, quote, barely escaped with his life. I mean, that doesn't seem like exaggeration. Now, when it comes to this last part of the story, I don't know how much of that is actually true. However, I do know that I saw this man literally chow down on close to 4 grams of rocked up pure Peruvian marching powder before frickin' swallowing it. Then I saw that same dude evade the police by vanishing into the dark like some kind of overweight Hungarian Zorro. Before reappearing, triumphant and somewhat unscathed hours later. Based on all this, yeah, I do choose to believe him about that alligator. Either way, it was a night to remember. And that, my friends, is the stupid story of Kevin and the Coke. I'm sorry you read this. I'm not, bro. That's absolutely beautiful. What a triumphant victory for one very, very dumb Kevin. I gotta admit, I want to hear more stories about this Kevin. How did he get out of Brazil? I guess he's like, you know, juiced up on rocket fuel and just flew back into the US. He found about 4 grams and he's like, okay, I can make it across the border. It's fine. Jump into a drainage ditch. What a maniac. And I love to see it. This is some high quality Florida man stuff right here. And God, I'm living for it. Thank you so much for sharing, OP. Totally made my night. ReddX Industries lawyers would like to inform you that we disavow any involvement with Florida Kevin. It looks like the Florida Kevin from the previous video is making his return, but this is also a finale. So Kevin's last lie. I remember really liking the way this OP writes, so I'm glad to see something else popping up from her. Let's see what we're in for today. Author's note, this story is long. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. It's fine. We're gonna get through it together. It really deserves to be told exactly as it happened, and therefore, I am forced into murdering brevity. It's overrated anyways. I hope that in time, you will forgive me. I'm gonna tell y'all another stupid story. I should warn you that this one isn't really a comedy, despite being set in a Radio Shack. Neither is that blockbuster series from Netflix. I guess Radio Shack just never got big enough to get their own one season flop of a Netflix series. A few months after Cocaine Kevin took off for Brazil in pursuit of true love, we got a new transfer employee. We came to call him Aikido Kevin, adding the Kevin because this is a subreddit about Kevins. Oh, I thought it was the same guy. But at least we do get the conclusion. Kevin took off for Brazil. I thought it was a joke, but seriously, he never came back. We called this Kevin Aikido because we met him before the final act of the following chain of events took place, and afterwards, we just didn't have the motivation to attach anything else to him. Well, I know that Aikido is a martial art, and, well, that's about it. I don't even know what they do. So when I replay what happened in my head, it astounds me that this took place at all. I mean, we had our fair share of Kevins at Radio Shack. There was Coke Kevin, who you previously met, Crazy Kevin, TP Kevin, Kevin the Customer, Kevin the Destroyer. Tell us about Kevin the Destroyer, please. I want to hear. Every one of these people occupies space in my brain for various reasons, but out of all these Kevins, Aikido Kevin is the most memorable, and not for the reason that you would most expect. I mean, yeah, you did warn us that this wasn't going to be a comical situation. We've seen some bad stuff, but I don't want to say how bad can it get, because yeah, we've seen some really bad stuff on this channel. As if he represented the cosmic opposite of the Kevin he was replacing, this new Kevin came across as competent. He was older and well kept. He didn't smell at all like sun-dried squirrel, and rather than being cartoonishly fat, he was actually worryingly thin. Which all seems like rather good stuff until you remember that Cocaine Kevin, he was kind of fun. He was fun, wasn't he? He looked surprisingly normal for a Radio Shack employee. Oh yeah, it's definitely a different type of crew. Completely trustworthy. Certainly like the guy you'd confidently go to get your questions answered. I think that's a Radio Shack slogan, isn't it? God, I still remember. God, it's still inside me. Looking at him, I would have never believed in a million years that he would be the most profligate serial liar that I have ever had the misfortune to meet. Do tell. I know that I should start this tale at the beginning with the story of how he got his name, but I really don't have space, so instead we'll just roller coaster through this cascade of events, much like I did originally. I mean, you can probably guess, he did some like Aikido move or something. Hey! He was in a tournament, he showed up with his trophy one day. Who cares? Doesn't truly matter. What does matter is, almost from the moment Kevin showed up, things got real weird, real fast. It's my favorite part. He lasted for about 6 months with us, but those 6 months were unforgettable. It started with Kevin telling us that he was a triple stripe, dragon class black belt in Aikido. Oh, no trophy, no proof, just him saying a thing.
I just wish that someone would try and catch me lacking, because I have a black belt in kicking ass. Now who wants to try?
He then told us that he met Kiss back in the 70s, and they invited him back to their hotel to party. We proved that that didn't happen, OP. If you can get me Gene Simmons, he'll say that he recognizes me. I'm pretty sure. Now the burden of proof is on you. I just have to go and contact Gene Simmons. Already that lie, both of them are so over the top, but especially the Kiss one. Okay, then the lies got egregious, more egregious. He was late because there was a riot at Publix. Someone else ate that food that I had clearly marked and labeled in the back of the fridge. All right, name some names, Kevin. We'll go get them together, right? His dad was in the CIA and helped plan Vietnam with Henry Kissinger. And now you work at a Radio Shack. Carrying on the family legacy, I see. He didn't know why the drawer was short $5.32. He was allergic to fruit. The list was long and got progressively weirder as the weeks went by, but it was generally innocuous, innocent even. Very true. I think a lot of these things are like, why would you even bother lying about it? But then the kiss thing and the planning Vietnam with Henry Kissinger thing. Those two seem kind of not like the others. But apparently it gets even worse than that, so let's see. Then he really fucked up. He told a lie about NASA. Guys, this was a Radio Shack. We were all nerds of various stripes with varying areas of scientific interest and knowledge. There was no possibility in any universe that one could just traipse into my Radio Shack and successfully lie about NASA.
My name is Peter, and I work at the brewer... NASA. I work at NASA.
Especially this particular lie. There was even less of a probability upon hearing such a lie spoken that any of us Radio Shack employees would let it go unchallenged. Wow, there's a build up to this. This is gonna go straight to the top, I'm telling you. The lizard men started war in the Middle East for lithium. And NASA's helping them to do it. Well, I don't know, there's kernels of truth there. You mean the lizard people part, right? What the hell am I doing? Okay, so now that all that foreshadowing is out of the way, let me get down to the meat. I mean, that's why you're still here, right? I mean, yeah, I thought the build-up was a little bit significant, but that's just the anticipation. And I hope that this great big NASA lie will stack up to what's been building. Anyways, let's see. The chain of events spanned 3 days, and it began in the way that these things always do, somewhat accidentally. Day 1, the NASA provocation. How dare you? How could you let this happen? It was a normal Florida afternoon for everyone who didn't work at my store. As usual, I came in on the second shift, which is the closing shift, and I was taking over from Kevin, who had just returned from vacation. The cash drawer was missing $5.34. Again? What the fuck? He fixed it while I was in the back recounting it. Okay, $5.34. This is so weird. I have to report this stuff. I'm just spitballing, okay? But might that be the price of a pack of cigarettes or his favorite combination of snacks and drinks? I've been known to do this a little bit in my day, but yeah, you gotta put the money back before the end of the day. While waiting for his wife to pick him up, Kevin told me that he and his family had a blast in Cape Canaveral, that he was able to take his son into the anti-gravity chamber at NASA. He went into great detail about how they flew around in the tunnel. That's not a thing. Now, y'all, I'm not an idiot. I very well know how NASA trains their astronauts in zero-G, but fuck it. I'll bite. Yeah, they put a plane into freefall. There's no zero gravity chamber. But he's a Kevin. Why am I gonna bother explaining this? OP does, though. Hey, Kevin. They actually use planes to simulate zero gravity. What are you talking about? Kevin shook his head conspiratorially and said, "No, they have secret pods." Who's they? The lizard people? There's two. One in Huntsville, Alabama, and one at Cape Canaveral. It's top secret. I have a friend. You have no friends, Kevin. You used to have friends. People gave you a chance and you lied to their face. Just tell him he ain't gotta lie to kick it, you know? You don't have to lie, Kevin. We'd still respect you just as much if you sent your wife and children off to work and school and then just sat home on your vacation. Sat on top of a big old dildo. It's your vacation. You can do whatever you want to do. Creating a gravity well in my asshole. I'm sort of out of pocket today. I'm sorry. Well, we'll get it together. OP says, I simply stood there, transfixed, as Kevin embellished his experiences at NASA a little bit more, making sure I knew how cool it was that all his kids got to meet all the astronauts, and how big the pod really was. It was almost as big as the Pentagon. Just underground, a giant gravity well? All this kept going on and on until Kevin's wife finally showed up and they left. You took this personally, OP. For me, it probably would have been like another weird / funny interaction. We already know Kevin's a habitual liar. Why is it this particular hill that you want to die on? Please tell me that. I think it only took a minute before going back inside. I had to call Frank, our store manager, to report the drawer discrepancy. And if I'm being honest, I also wanted to inform him of NASA's Pentagon-sized secret. We were all getting sick of Kevin's fibs, but nobody had really said anything to him yet, and I knew Frank was a huge NASA fan. I'll get somebody else to do your dirty work, huh? All I'm saying is if you catch somebody up in a lie, let them know immediately. Say verbatim, look man, you ain't gotta lie to kick it, alright? And that acknowledges that they've lied, that you're willing to forgive them, but to not lie to you in the future, all in like one convenient package. The whole relationship dynamic has changed because you had the nuts to say just one simple sentence. So say it. It's really not a big deal. It can be for some things, but like lying, come on, man. I'm not gonna let this build up and become a thing. But it is office job stuff, isn't it? Little things always become big things because you have to deal with it every day and it drives you crazy. But of course, I digress. So repeating to Frank what Kevin had said really was tantamount to like lighting off firecrackers at a funeral. And at that age, truly, I just wanted to watch the world burn. There you go. At least we can admit to ourselves what it is, you know? We gotta keep the pot stirring somehow. So Frank answered on the first ring, as I knew he would if the store was calling him. Hey, Frank, so my drawer was $5.34 short again. Kevin somehow fixed it. He also went to the secret anti-gravity pod at NASA while he was at Cape Canaveral. Damn, I didn't know they got one too. Frank laughed and then there was a long pause. And then he snarled. What? Your drawer was short? I'm done with this. Frank hung up. I looked down at the phone. Dang. Frank is a terrible force for truth in the universe. I knew this from painful personal experience. So really, it's not about NASA, it's about justice. I can get behind that. Day 2, Kevin's last lie. Little did he know. I got a call at 5 a.m. to come in early that Kevin couldn't open. Whatever, more money for me. I rolled out of bed. When I got there, Frank was behind the counter, pacing and literally purple. Never seen a human being that color before. He looked like an engorged eggplant, preparing for a canly duel. I was putting my stuff away in the back when Frank stomped in behind me. He was hollering about gravity and idiots. And I realized immediately that Kevin was in major trouble. Bro, are they gonna duel right now for real? But Frank has connections at NASA, so he got a ray gun from the lizard people? Kevin better watch out! I don't know what's happening still. Frisson tickled its way through my central nervous system. Fear or anticipation? Uncertain. Frank could be terrifying. Alternatively, Frank could be compassionate. Frank was a real street dude. A living tragedy to triumph, rags to riches kind of guy. He was also a very understanding boss. He basically only had 3 rules. Don't fucking steal, don't bring your personal bullshit into the store, and most importantly, don't you ever fucking lie to me. We could shorten that up a bit. 2 things I can't stand in this world is liars and thieves. Done. I don't know if Kevin really brought his personal business into the store, but he's definitely 2 strikes. Probably more than that since, yeah, he's definitely been stealing before. Those are his exact quotes, and he did live up to them. I know this, and now you all know this as well. Kevin should have known this, but Kevin liked to live life on the edge with cold Miller Lite, sponsor of ReddX Industries. Hey bro, I'm Party Demon, whoa. What the hell was that, a Miller Lite commercial? I think the universe is kind of starting to fragment again. Anyway, in the back room, I squared my shoulders and pretended to be uninterested while watching Frank's face pulse with incandescent rage. Kevin gonna die today. What's up? I ventured, trying to hide my curiosity. Frank exploded like I don't know, something you shouldn't microwave, I guess. His purple face rippled as he tried to roll his eyes and snort simultaneously. Yeah, that's the start of a brain aneurysm right there. He looked for all the world like an indignant water buffalo. Which is really funny. See, big game hunters will tell you that despite looking slow and stupid, the water buffalo is one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. African buffalo will lay traps. They'll actually double back to lie in wait to hunt the hunter. And much like the animal he resembled, Frank too was dangerous and known for his traps. I didn't know that about water buffalo. I thought they're just like big dumb wild cow. But really any wild animal has to have like some amount of smarts to it. Especially if it's living during the time that humans have taken over the world. If they're out there, they're probably pretty clever in one way or another. Frank smiled at me fairly.
Kevin called out this morning. Apparently, his cousin, the St. Petersburg cop, got shot last night in a drug raid.
Yeah, sounds legit. What's his badge number? What does that have to do with NASA? I said stupidly. Frank stared at me like I was the only red gal in the blue man group.
I busted Kevin last night for theft,
Frank said slowly, and with that owlish look that he saved for especially thick customers. Okay, but what is that? Then I stopped, the light bulb over my head starting to flicker. Oh, I said. Frank was still staring at me, perhaps waiting for my brain to finish its loading sequence. Accurately concluding that I was operating somewhat below dial-up speed, he sighed impatiently and continued.
My wife called the hospital just now. They don't have anyone by the name of Kevin's cousin's name on file. She called 2 other hospitals just to be sure.
Yeah, this is about the dumbest lie. Oh boy. So that's Frank's game, huh? My favorite kind of manager, just give me enough rope to hang myself. I looked at him blankly. Wait, what? My mental bulb finally snapped on and flared brightly. Yeah, after everything was explained, imagine that! Oh shit! My brain is furiously connecting dots. Did he lie to get uncaught for thieving? Is that even a thing? What the hell? Frank nodded grimly and picked up the phone. He dialed Kevin's number. Oh yeah, put it on speakerphone. I want to be here for this. Unfortunately for this story, I had a customer walk in right then. Oh God, what do you want? And therefore I didn't hear what was said. Customers can be the most annoying things in the world sometimes. Yeah, that's why we shop online. It's inconvenient for everybody, okay? The only people who are really losing with the shop online thing are brick and mortar stores. And people who work in them. But that's fine, bro. Life has changed, bro. You'll find another job, bro. This particular customer that walked in probably wasn't annoying, at least not on purpose. but I don't really remember, because all I could think about was Kevin's career suicide. It seemed like an eternity passed before I was able to rejoin Frank in his investigation. I mean, he is gonna lose his job, which he does deserve. If anything more than that happens to him, though, I don't know if I can 100% sign off on it. We'll see how it goes. So in the time I was away, Frank had learned 2 things. The first being that no cop had been shot, according to the news, which Kevin countered by claiming that
The news wouldn't report a cop being shot in an ongoing investigation.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
And the second thing being that no hospital in the Tri-County area was admitting anyone matching his cousin's name, which Kevin dismissed by saying that
Secrecy was standard op in a full blackout situation,
and that it's all
put in place to protect the wounded cop's identity.
Ah, yes, they had to hide this policeman's identity from the sleuths at Radio Shack. Do you even listen to the things you say? Oh, what am I talking about? He talked about a Pentagon-sized gravity well. It was a testament to Frank's determination that he was able to do all of this so quickly, especially since this all happened back in the 90s before the sum of human knowledge was only a smartphone click away. It's pretty crazy how things have gone, honestly. You can learn whatever you want now. It's crazy. Most people just use it for porn, though. I think that's unfortunate. The insanity went on for my entire shift. Frank sending his wife to check out hospitals, while he alternately called the local newspapers, TV stations, and Kevin himself. Bet he doesn't even know how screwed he is right now. Enjoying his day off, bouncing up and down on his big bad dragon. He loves it. His anus is a gravity well. I'm dying, dude. Frank was terrifying in his pursuit of truth, and I have to admit, it was a thing of beauty to watch him put this case all together. Perry Mason be damned. Frank was on an investigative roll. Oh, what did he roll for his investigation check? 20 for sure. Nat 20. No matter what Frank learned, when he called Kevin, Kevin had an answer to it. A detailed answer. He went into specifics about how
the bullet, which was a 9mm, hit his cousin's vest and ricocheted off a rib.
He explained how it was
a cartel case and everything has to be kept real hush-hush.
It was quite entertaining. If Schadenfreude is your thing, it's not mine. It's definitely mine, yes! I would stand there and watch this all morning. Easiest paycheck I ever got. I can't really explain how uncomfortable this whole thing made me feel. Like chewing on cotton. Is cotton bad? Aluminum foil is the thing that really gets me. There's no way Kevin keeps his job. Kevin has the survival skills of a suicide bomber and the critical thinking skills of a cabbage. It was plain as day that Kevin was a drowning man grasping desperately for an anchor. Aren't you enjoying it like a little bit though? Because he did it to himself. He got on the railing of the boat after everyone told him not to. He's like, watch me do a backflip. And he just started drowning. Didn't even do the backflip, just belly flop, drown. I was like, somebody jump in. I can't swim, you just have to save me.
You've got to swim! Hit with your legs! Okay, you just have to save me!
That's okay. OP doesn't have to enjoy it, okay? I'll enjoy it enough for the both of us. Finally, my shift ended, and I went home mentally exhausted on Kevin's behalf. As I left, I could see Frank behind the counter, still on the phone, hyper-focused and absolutely intent upon some mission objective that I apparently wasn't cleared for. He just told me to be ready to close the next day. Damn, Frank, you don't got like a wife or kids to go home to or something, man? You want to do this instead? I mean, there is hungry for justice, and then there's just, being a madman. Although I guess you are making overtime pay for this, so go off, I guess. Day 3, the great denouncement. Denouncement? I woke up haunted with the strange certain knowledge that disaster was nigh. I wake up feeling like that every morning, man. Maybe it was the same instinct that allows animals to sense an earthquake before it strikes. I really don't know. I felt both uncomfortable and giddy as I readied myself for work. When I pulled into the Radio Shack, I saw that Frank's Jeep was there. So was Frank's wife's SUV. Kevin's car was nowhere to be seen, however. Frank overnighting right now? Is Frank banging his wife out on top of the desk? Little 5-minute break before continuing the pursuit for justice? I get that, man. OP says, oh boy, all of this is not a good sign. I parked and went in. Immediately I could see Frank, his wife, and the employee who had opened huddled furtively behind the counter. No customers in sight. Excellent, I thought. Maybe I'll get some answers. This is a Radio Shack, after all, isn't it? Hey, it is the logo. You got questions, we got answers. I worked at Radio Shack in like 2005, I think. Significantly after OP's time, when everything was falling apart. And that made it interesting too, just in a different way, right? OP continues, as I counted in my drawer, the preliminary results of Frank's investigation poured out. Allegedly, Kevin had been taking money from the drawer to go get McDonald's for lunch. The amount, $5.34, matched perfectly with the meal that Kevin was observed eating each day that he worked. No one knew why he did this. He very obviously brought his lunch in from home every morning. He's just a fat boy. He has to take the lunch because if I don't take it, my wife gets mad at me, but I don't actually want to eat it because she's making me quinoa salad and kale. So I took a $5 out the drawer. So I went to McDonald's. So sue me, right? Sometimes I need a Happy Meal to get me through the day. What do you want, huh? No, but seriously, you can't lie to anyone about anything anymore. There's receipts for everything. Cameras everywhere. You might as well just start living honest. Or as honest as you can, I suppose. Continuing on, Frank was, of course, a Twitter with anticipatory fury as he spoke. After the conversation he'd had with Frank the previous morning, Kevin had slyly switched shifts with another employee to avoid having to open and therefore face Frank, which of course had jacked Frank's temper from red to plaid. Kevin daring to dodge him like this was simply the last straw, and he decided then and there that he was going to fire Kevin. Except, despite trying all morning, he hadn't managed to actually reach Kevin in order to give him the news. You can't get fired if you avoid your boss constantly. This is the biggest brain plays, let me tell you. Frank being Frank, this in no way deterred him. Yeah, he's like a pit bull, man. He's latching on forever. He had simply looked in Kevin's employee file and called the emergency contact. By the time I walked in, the proverbial shit had hit the fan and was well on its ballistic arc towards us in the form of Kevin's wife. Y'all, it's really important for this story that you have a mental picture of Kevin's wife. Essential, even. Do y'all remember that 90s song All-Star by the band Smash Mouth? Yeah, we parodied it in the Chris Trucker series, didn't we? Somebody once told me that homo's gonna blow me. Remember the lead singer? If you don't, it's okay. Just picture Guy Fieri instead. It's the same person. He just bleached his hair and bought a flame print shirt. Now picture Guy Fieri or the Smash Mouth guy all dressed up as Xena, the warrior princess. That is what she looked like. Oh, that's unfortunate. She was enormous. Not necessarily fat, but like big. I bet she could crush a watermelon with her thighs. Easy. That's really a thing, by the way. You should probably Google it. Fuck it, here you go. Oh! Damn, there's something really sexual about that that clip. I don't know what it is. I'm so sorry I pointed it out. She's like, let me towel off my legs again and put it in here and squirt. Now imagine Guy Fieri or the Smash Mouth dude doing it. Is that more or less sexual for you? Okay. I told you I'm in a mood, man. Anyway, Xena was surprised to hear that Kevin wasn't at work. She was even more stunned by what Frank had to say. At roughly the same time this conversation was taking place at the Radio Shack, another weirder conversation was taking place in person across town. Out of exasperation and to outmaneuver Kevin completely, Frank had finally just sent his wife down to the police station. And that went something like this. She walked in and asked if any cops had been shot recently. I imagine there was a pregnant pause at the reception desk while it was hurriedly determined whether or not she was a threat or a crazy person. She asked again and was told that no one had been shot recently. She then asked to speak with Officer Kevin's cousin's name, and lo and behold, he happened to be walking by at that very moment, unwounded, ambulatory, and utterly confused as to why anybody thought that he had been shot in the first place. I'm surprised that Officer Kevin's name actually exists. I thought he was making up the whole thing. It doesn't really win him that many points, but I don't know. Perched behind the counter in the Radio Shack, listening to Frank and his wife.
What do I find out? There is no Pepe Sylvia. The man does not exist, okay?
List the steps that they had taken and the results of taking said steps, I actually felt kind of bad for Kevin. I mean, why would he do this? Get a day off? Go bounce on the gravity well. Why would anyone make up such a ridiculous lie? What did he have to gain? And most mysteriously, why was he stealing to buy lunch when he brought his own lunch in? The whole thing was steeped in bizarre absurdity, and I was beginning to lose perspective of the situation when the door chime dinged and Kevin walked contritely into the store, followed by his snapping virago of a wife. Virago? Y'all, holy shit. I don't think I'll be able to properly describe what followed, but I'll do my best. When I was a kid, there was a cartoon that I saw once. Maybe it was a part of a Disney movie, maybe Bugs Bunny short, I don't really remember. But in it, a ginormous nanny-type woman drags a teensy man into the room by his ear to force him to apologize for something. And that's almost exactly what happened. Xena frog-marched Kevin into the Radio Shack and made him apologize for stealing. She literally made him hand over an envelope with $600 in it, the amount that Frank calculated Kevin had stolen over 6 months, and then she berated him for breaking the diet that she had set for him. I knew it. He just wants to get his yum-yums. Give me some salt and sugar water, baby. No, you eat your kale salad. I'm gonna say that again. He broke the diet she had set for him. This veritable Amazon of a woman had set a caloric intake for this dude who was already so skinny that he could likely crawl through holes in a chain link fence. Is this an abuse situation? Like, maybe? It could be like a fetish thing? There's a lot going through my mind when I hear about stuff like this. All of a sudden, it all made sense to me. All of it. Kevin was emasculated, hence the lying. Kevin was desperate and fucking starving, so he stole to feed himself. I was now wrestling with my newfound understanding of all things Kevin when she told us the envelope was all of his allowance money. At this point, I was entirely speechless. I could only gape witlessly at her. He doesn't get any money when he goes to work. This is financial abuse. It is exactly that type of situation, and now it's changed my whole perspective. I mean, I never really had ill will towards Kevin, I guess. But yeah, learning all of this is like, whoa, man. I hope he gets out of that situation. I hope he turns out all right. Stealing a glance back at Frank, I could tell he was going through the very same emotional turmoil that I was. Yeah, man. What a twist. In the uncomfortable silence, Kevin handed over his keys and mumbled something about it being real great working with us. And then They left. Jesus. I hope he's okay for real. With the possible exception of the first time I saw the cemetery scene in Steel Magnolias, I've never gone from one emotional extreme to the other so quickly. Where I had been affronted by his actions only minutes earlier, and now I felt unimaginable regret. And I could tell that Frank felt the same way. Frank had held back from revealing that he'd had his wife visit the police station and never even brought it up. He looked deflated. All the energy and momentum of the chase, gone. Replaced with utter shock and remorse.
Was it worth it, Muggsy? What did we learn from all this? That it never gets any easier. It never gets any easier, Mac.
Mac and Muggsy, Thursdays on CBS. What? There's all kinds of plugs for things that don't exist yet. If I say it enough, then maybe they will. I'm trying to bring some levity back into this. Y'all, I bet you thought this story was gonna have a happy ending, or at least a funny one, and I'm sorry to disappoint you. No happy ending here, just a cloudy moral lesson. Yeah, you're making me feel some stuff for real. Kevin was fired, and we never saw him again, though I insisted that Frank's wife go back down to the police station and tell Kevin's cousin everything that we'd seen and heard. I felt that I owed him that much, being responsible for the initial phone call that set everything into motion. Oh yeah, you're the genesis of this, OP. Okay, good. Stand here. Look upon that which you've created, okay? Okay, you feel bad enough. You can stop looking now, it's fine. Frank and I learned much more that day. This experience changed something in me. I like to think that I'm a better person now. Oh, I still laugh at Kevin's, but I don't assume anything anymore. Oh no, I've learned that everyone has a truth to tell, even if it comes swaddled in lies.
God damn, I love that last sentence.
This is insane! What a plot twist! What a plop twist. So your poop does a backflip before it goes to the toilet. I don't know, man. I'm definitely, like, genuinely affected. I feel bad for having all this schadenfreude and wanting to see Kevin get his comeuppance because, yeah, his home life is just out of control and terrible, and it doesn't seem like he'll ever escape to me. I guess it is proof positive that, yeah, everybody has a story to tell, and we don't want to presume too much about anybody. r/stories about Kevin. Oops, typo. Can't edit the title. There you go. The most energetic of waiters, smiling Kevin. Well, at least he's having a good time, I guess. I've heard that ignorance is bliss, but maybe here's the proof. I don't really know. I haven't seen a miserable Kevin, to be fair. Hello, everyone! After years of listening to audio readings of disastrous stories about the most grotesque members of our species, I finally gathered the courage to post a story of mine own. First story post, so, yay! Yeah, also yay, I'm super glad. People seem to be enjoying the hell out of this one, and I want to join them. I've been listening to YouTubers read these story posts on my commutes to work, so I don't know how the format is supposed to be like, but I hope that my story will be easy on the eyes. And I would love it if my post was read in a video. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I mean, with upvotes like that, I can't ignore it for too long. I told him I'd get at it once Kevin in the Big Rig was over. Well, guess what? It's over now, so we're getting at it. Edit. Bonjour, ReddX. Thank you for taking the time to read my misadventures and for what you do. I hope it won't sound weird, but I need to say that I adore it when you laugh. Aw, you know that little heh giggle that you do? It never fails to make me smile. Heh, thanks. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I can just keep being me. That's what I know. I appreciate that you like my laugh. Some people really find it annoying. They're like, that inhale thing that he does. And I was made fun of for it in high school just a little bit, but I always gotta be me. I've gotta be me. I've got to be me.
I've gotta be me.
Anyways, a little bit about myself. I'm a French guy. English is not my native language, so I hope I won't mess up too much and that the vocabulary won't be too repetitive. I'm always hopeful when people come in apologizing. They're like, it's not my native language. Let me tell you this, you speak it a lot better, or write it a lot better, rather, than like many of the posts that we did, particularly on the beginning of the channel. Ever since ReddX Reads was started, most of those posts, they pretty good, you know, but initially, we had a lot of trash posts. If you want to go back and watch like the OG ReddX videos, yeah, them's pretty rough. I hold high hopes for you on this one though. I must say that much. Cast list, yeah, that's OP. That's me. Bonjour. 27. At the time of this event, thin, tall guy, tea addict. My hobbies include tabletop RPGs, naps, and long distance running. I asked my online English friends what my job would be called in English, and they said I'm a sort of butler or maitre d'. I assist VIPs with what they need, like a cocktail of my own, an errand, helping them walk to a hotel, or anything. And I spend most of my shift tending to the restaurant. We only have 11 tables with 2 sets each, so most of the time, I do it alone. Yeah, but that sounds super exclusive. God damn, you probably making some big bucks over there, ain't you, Mark? Huh? You balling out? I honestly didn't know that a maitre d' did all of that extra stuff. How long is that job description, bro? I thought you just like seat people at a table and you're like, all right, see you later. But no, apparently it's much more than that. So good on you. I can tell you're a go-getter. Kevin, yeah, all right, so I'm about average in height myself, but that man was easily over 7 feet tall, 215 centimeters. Are you kidding me? He's a giant. Oh, he's a monster. He's around 35 years old, probably older, bit of a belly, but not fat. He constantly had a smile on his face, but not a regular one. He always smiled with his mouth open. Hey, okay, Kevin, you're waitre d'-ing, that's awesome, but I'm gonna need you to do it like way more happy and with your mouth like way more open.
I want you to do it happier and with your mouth open.
What?
Like in many of the animes he enjoyed. He had messy facial hair. I wasn't sure if he was trying to grow something evenly or if he even attempted to shave for work. Don't you want your butler to be clean shaven? I always clean shave my butler. Which brings us to today's sponsor. Nah, just kidding. Pick is our whiny, chubby moron of a supervisor slash manager. A bit of a useless member in our crew. Yeah, most managers are, to be fair, I guess. All he does is walk around and stare at us to make sure that we are working well. A perfect position, as he is completely incapable of doing any work himself. Oh, he's got no arms, is that what it is? That's sad. Oh, he does have arms, he's just a lazy piece of crap. All right, I got you. My friends like to compare him to one of the characters from The Office who constantly tries to look good to his higher-up, but I can't recall that character's name if my life depended on it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not a big fan of The Office either. Peep Show! That is my The Office. I did watch The Office, but it's completely forgettable to me. I think that it's the guy played by Ed Helms, if I remember right, but I don't know his name either. I don't care. Why is he called Pick, you might ask? Because it's a French play on words that I came up with for my crew. It's a mix between his own name and the French word piquer, which is to steal. I probably pronounced that way wrong. So forgive me right back for butchering your language, Mark. As this man has been caught several times stealing from the tip jars and the cash register. Oh my god, dude. And he's a manager who does not... Why do we not get rid of him? I guess who you gonna talk to? You gotta go make the boss believe you. You gotta get some hidden camera footage. Pick doesn't like me very much, as I was the one to catch him red-handed a couple of times, and unlike a couple of other colleagues, I didn't accept his bribe of a week off to keep silent about his crimes. In the end, I didn't tell on him, as I know he's a drinking buddy with the director, but I still reserve the right to spite him openly and catch him over and over again. Oh, see, so if he's drinking buddies, he's like, hey, actually, I'll buy the drinks, but this is the money that came out of your restaurant. What a human piece of shit, honestly. I would have taken the week off, but I still would reserve the right to openly spite him. That's the way to go. Take his bribe and also still hate on him. Or make it your mission to catch him again, to get another week off. It's a paid week, right? Please, say that. Lieti? We'll go Lieti, sure. While I'm in the front battling with the swarms of clients at the restaurant, she's the one fighting them at the bar. Oh no, drunk patrons? She's got it way worse, I'm sorry. This middle-aged lady has been our barkeep for a couple of years now. She works well, but she is the sassiest, sass-filled sassy woman that I have ever known. She got in trouble a few times for being really coy with clients who are asking dumb questions. She is twice my age and half my height. That's too much math, all right. But I do like that she's sassy. I could get into that. W is the head cook of the restaurant, an older chef who is fantastic at his job, but he is the type of person that you will hear before you can see. He is loud, constantly yelling at people, and especially the cooks working for him, or the waiters who are being dumb. Imagine Gordon Ramsay if he looked and swore like a dwarf.
If you saute scallops in a non-stick pan, they won't stick. That's why it's called fucking non-stick.
Luckily, I've never had this issue before, and I often chat with him without fear of an earful, as the job gets done when we're both on shift. I am one of the select few that W's taking a liking to. Like an angry, restless poltergeist, if you lend an ear, you could still hear him screaming somewhere. Where's the lamb sauce?
Where's the lamb sauce?
I love the mental image of Gordon Ramsay as a dwarf. A swarthy little dwarf. Dwarven Ramsay. Oh, God. But he's still just as angry. That's beautiful. So yes, as with most restaurants and bars, we have quite a cast of characters. Now let's see them all interact. So at the southeast of France, at the border of the Mediterranean Sea, stood the Principality of Monaco. Inside one of the casinos, there was a bar and a restaurant that mostly served the players and the gamblers. Oh, putting a feisty restaurant like this right in the middle of a casino? That doubles the spiciness, like already. Friday night, dawn of the final day before the fated Kevin encounter, and it is a slow day at the restaurant. I'm cleaning silverware and chatting with a client, while a colleague tending the bar is on their phone. I see Pick walking with a stride and a smug smile. He waves me over to the counter as he had set down a piece of paper on the bar top. Excusing myself, I go to join him.
Look at that! I did the interview of a lifetime. I got us the best employee that'll pull this crew up.
Oh boy. I'm sure you think you did a real good job. Did you check the references? No? You guys just really hit it off during the interview and that's good enough, is it? He said smugly as I approached. Hello, sir, I replied with insistence. I was quite used to rude clients not greeting me, but co-workers had been taught never to skip this step, especially Pick, otherwise they might forget to do it with the customers. The supervisor shrugged and shook his head as he tapped on the piece of paper.
Yeah. Look, that's the resume of the guy I just interviewed. He starts tomorrow. His name's Kevin. He speaks 4 languages, can handle the bar or the restaurant, and he worked at all of these luxurious places for years. He's gonna run circles around you all.
Did you verify any of those luxurious places that he worked? Did he just like write them down on a piece of paper and you believed them? He proudly announced this as if he just got a new Pokemon to fight us, the rivals, despite the fact that we were all working on the same boat. Yeah, my Rattata might be dumb, but he's in the top percentage of Rattatas. I like shorts. They're comfy and easy to wear. What are you talking about? I picked up the resume and gave it a read. It was quite impressive. That person seemed to have all the required skills and more. Just like me, he had done 5 years of catering school to obtain his master in restaurants. The plethora of high-class spots he worked at was grand. However, it did make me wonder about something. Did he tell you why he never stayed at any of these previous places? Seems like a pretty basic question, doesn't it? So yes, of course, OP asked. Our casino was a beautiful one, but we weren't the number one in the city. Why would he step down from one of those spots to settle here? Or did he quit? Or did he get fired? Pick opened his mouth to reply, but nothing came out. He shook his head and took the paper back.
I didn't ask him, but who the fuck cares? You're just afraid that you've met your match.
Why does he talk like a Pokemon trainer? I got a lot of questions about that. He announced, earning a sigh out of me as I turned around and trudged back to my duties. I heard him call someone else to boast about his great new catch. You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out real quick, ain't you? Problem is, he's never going to admit his mistake. His ego is far too big. So fast forward to Saturday night, which is of course the most busy day of the week. I can handle most of these on my own, but the shift definitely got smoother when I got some help for the more time-consuming tasks, like cleaning the tables or taking the stairs to the kitchen. One of the only downsides of this place being that the kitchen isn't on the same floor. So anytime you need to order or pick up a plate or ask a question to the cooking crew, you gotta work them legs. That's right, buns and thighs. I couldn't do this. And never being able to ignore a coworker, forget about it, bro. I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to do food service anyways, but especially not this. Can we order a dumbwaiter or something? Even just a series of pneumatic tubes so I don't have to ask if the chicken has cilantro on it or something like that. At least I wouldn't have Pick breathing down my neck, as he assigned himself days off every weekend. I arrived a bit early to prepare everything in my drawers and count out the cash in the register before the opening. Yeah, luckily Pick ain't there to pickpocket the register, right? Eventually I hear some noise from the back room. Guessing that it was the cleaning crew, I walked towards the door and opened it, wishing to greet them before we began. It wasn't the cleaning crew, however. It was a tall man in his underwear, with his civilian clothes on the floor. Yeah, just change right in the middle of the casino, why don't you? This 7-foot giant standing around in his underwear. Nobody's gonna notice. What an introduction. He bent over as he was pulling one of our suits out of a plastic bag. His hairy beer belly hanging down due to gravity. He turned his head towards me and smiled. For some reason, I had a hard time looking away from his face at first. His smile was made with an open mouth, like one of a mascot or a cliche psycho. He then came to me and raised his hand to shake mine. Hey man, I'm Kevin. Put some fucking clothes on, Kevin. He exclaimed this on the threshold of the door between the back room and a casino that was filled with players. Yes, while he was still only in his boxers. Oh god, dude. This is a big old red flag already. What are you doing, dude? Are you like okay? Are the lights on upstairs? I did not dare look back, and I shook his hand briefly before gesturing him inside, closing the door behind us. Hi, Kevin. I'm OP. Would you rather not, like, use the locker room? Because that's right down the hall. Huh? Nah, dude. I don't mind. I'm not shy. Maybe you should be. I hate him already. How could you be this dumb? It's not a suggestion, Kevin. I'm telling you, you need to use the locker room down the hall. People in the casino don't want to see your hairy butt crack. Oh, God. A few questions bumped into my head, and I didn't know which one I should have gone with first. Like two entitled mothers pushing their shopping carts against each other so they could pay for their stuff first and not be late to their son's soccer practice. Yeah, think about little Tyler. All that had to wait, however, as I could hear chairs being moved behind me. Clients were sitting down, and the show was on. All right. Good to see you, Kevin. See you soon, I commented as I exited the room and closed the door. I could only imagine how the cleaning crew and my other colleagues would react to this nearly naked giant. That's the worst thing ever, dude. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I don't really understand French culture, but I presume that they're more soft-spoken than Americans. I mean, most people are, to be fair. But really, what he needs right now is some of that American bluntness. Hey, look, it wasn't a question. Get your hairy ass in the locker room, right? The stereotype for French people is rudeness, so I don't know. I guess Mark is just an exception to the rule. Like, he seems like a super good guy. We haven't really spoken, but in passing, he seems very pleasant. So, okay, we'll have to leave it to somebody else to tell Kevin to keep his pants on in the middle of the casino. This next part has been mostly put together thanks to a later conversation with Leoty to fill in the blanks, as she was the one dealing with him at that time, while I could only briefly see or hear them while I worked in the restaurant. After a brief introduction, she brought him behind the bar. Clients like to pick up a drink before heading to the slots or the table, so she could use the help for a few minutes before the help assisted me by the time the restaurant was full. That's right, you're a floater, Kevin. You're supposed to be a superstar. Get out there, superstar. A client came to the bar and requested a cappuccino. The barkeep turned to Kevin and set her hand on the coffee machine. All yours. Show me how you do one of these. I know it's basic, but some of the clients send it back if it's not how they like it. She announced to our newcomer, and he nodded several times quickly and walked to stand in front of the machine. The aforementioned device was your classic barista tool, complete with steamers to make a creamer, a crusher for the coffee beans, and a press to get all that bitter goodness out. Kevin stayed idle for about 15 seconds, like frozen, or like someone had just paused a movie, as Leedy described it. Was he appreciating this marvel of technology, or attempting to seduce the coffee maker with his award-winning open-mouthed smile? He doesn't know how to do it. He's scared to ask for help. He's an idiot. In summation, we all figured this out already. Kevin, are you all right?
What's a kappa thingy?
Oh my god. I can't do this. I know Pick ain't here to fire him right now, but maybe we just give Kevin the rest of the day off. He's 7 feet tall. He's just gonna be in the way. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. Kevin cut her off and suddenly turned his head towards her. Leedy said, You don't know? It's coffee with warm milk, which is foamed into creamer. She began to explain, but Leedy got cut off once more as Kevin grabbed the bottle of milk standing next to the machine.
This one's cold. How do I make it warm?
God. The bartender couldn't resist and had to do what she does best. Oh, you don't know either? Don't worry, we purchased warm milk ahead of time. It's in the fridge next to the cold milk. Sassy Leedy had struck again. Oh, God. Warm milk in the fridge. And this is not setting off any alarm bells. This is like the epitome of a wild goose chase. Your first day hazing, Kevin, is going to be extra bad for you because you're a Kevin. She sighed and was about to do the order herself when Kevin leapt towards the fridge and began to remove bottles from it and set them down on the floor. Cold, 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 cold.
Are the hot ones in the back?
Oh my God. He really is as dumb as he looks. This was a first for Leedy. Her sarcasm managed to fly over the head of this 7-foot-tall titan. It's so sad, man. He's actually looking for warm milk in the fridge. Yeah, it's back there somewhere, Kevin. Just keep going. Leedy said, never mind. I'll do it myself. Do you know how to use a credit card machine? Oh, don't do that. There's a $10,000 cappuccino coming up. Make this client pay €6. Hurry, she told him, making him nod quickly in response. After he did his quick nodding of his noggin, he grabbed the portable ATM and went to the client, leaving the fridge door wide open and all of the bottles on the floor. I mean, she said quickly, right? Yeah, but you're gonna waste all that product. The hot beverage was given, and Kevin proudly handed the ticket to Leody, and she furrowed her brows when reading it. You made them pay 6 cents. You need to add a comma and 2 zeros. Hey, that's a cheap coffee. I'm coming here every day. While Leody was making the first client pay the rest that he owed, a new client arrived and ordered a minty water. I've been told that minty water is something more common to France than in other countries, so I'll just explain it real quickly. It is a dash of mint-flavored simple syrup in some water, and everyone drinks it here. Sounds refreshing, honestly. Like a properly done mojito, but without the alcohol. Matter of fact, I'll just drink the mojito. That's good. I got it from here. While Leody was waiting for the receipt to be printed, she pointed at the glass bottled water and bottle of syrup. Kevin nodded and went to work. Oh my God, dude. Disregarding what he had been shown, he filled a glass with tap water, walked to a green plant on the counter, ripped a leaf out of it before dropping the leaf of the plant into the glass. What was the plant? Oh my God, dude. He's gonna kill somebody. He's purposely poisoning people his first day on the job. It really wouldn't be so bad if he didn't accidentally kick one of the discarded glass bottles of milk, making it burst all over the floor on his way back to the client. Oh, for God's sake, Kevin, just go home. I told you he was gonna be in the way. It's even worse than being in the way. He's not helping. It was at that moment that I dropped what I was doing to go hear what the noise was. What I saw was a confused client, a delighted Kevin putting his fists on his haunches, doing a voila gesture for flourish, and he was standing in a puddle of glass shards and milk. Oh, this is classic, dude. You can't make something like this up. He's just fucking up left and right. He can't help himself. He might be a gentle giant, but I'm pretty sure he's not all upstairs, all right? For food service, you gotta be fast. You gotta be precise. It's no wonder this dude was fired from all those places. He couldn't hack it. And finally, Leody was looking at me with eyes of someone hanging for dear life over a ravine and holding your hand. Eyes that were just crying out, "Save me." There's no saving you. Honestly, we're in the same boat and there's a giant hole in the deck named Kevin. Gotta take him out back, honestly. Gotta give him that old of mice and men treatment. Just look at the sunset, Kevin. Let me tell you about the rabbits. Hey, Kevin, can I get some help at the restaurant, please? Yeah, take him away, please. I asked, making him turn his open, wide smile to me as he nodded rapidly. He's an idiot. We walked to the restaurant's register, and I took a deep breath. My suspicions needed to be quenched now. It was time for some burning questions and some small talk, as the only things that I really knew about this mysterious happy string bean was his name and the color of his underwear. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Kevin shot first, however. Hey, so are you and Leody together? Because, man, I don't want to make you jealous, but I think... He had begun, looking smug. What? Are you here to work or here to get your dick wet, Kevin? Sit down! But OP responds a little bit more gracefully. He says, Kevin, apologies for cutting you off, but can I ask how your previous jobs went? This question got Kevin to tilt his head to the side and look at me, perplexed for a moment. Oh, no, man, that's my first job ever. Is that so? Your resume mentions some previous workplace and skills, I asked, feeling confused. Kevin's shrug, and his answer did not help matters, however.
I didn't read it. My mom just told me to hand it over and be confident.
My mom. Oh my god, dude. Are you kidding? Yeah, okay, so now you're hired. So now what? Pick's future employee of the month, everyone! Round of applause. Biggest bruh moments in history. If it wasn't for the sight of more clients approaching the front desk, I would have remained stunned by the simplicity of his answer for a few more seconds. However, instead of a helper, I had someone that I had to teach. I glanced around for something simple to ask of him until I could actually show him the ropes. I brought him to another counter where I had brought a pile of dirty plates. Kevin, could you please pick these up and bring them into the back room? Oh, those plates, they're all gonna be broken. My request sounded simple enough. A pile of 10 to 15 plates with some dirty silverware on top had to be brought to the next room, so the washing crew could pick them up eventually. I didn't expect Kevin's reply, and especially not the volume of it.
Yeah! Oh, yeah, I can do it! Yeah, that I could do! Yeah, I just gotta warm up first.
What are you... Okay, I'm glad you're excited, but please, just fucking take him away. If I could not see you for the rest of the shift, that would be just amazing. He exclaimed this, nearly screaming as he bounced from one foot to another. Kevin threw himself down and performed a push-up before getting up and jumping in place. He performed a set of about 5 to 7 burpees while wearing a suit in the middle of a casino. Yeah, it looks pretty heavy, doesn't it? Are you thinking somebody's gonna be impressed by this? He's like, I hope Leonie's watching. Everybody's watching, and everybody thinks that you are an idiot. Or rather, knows that you are an idiot. Everyone was looking at him now, and his face was turning red. Getting up, he exhaled sharply and passed out. Fell like a tree right on his face. So you do those exercises pretty often, do you? Maybe it's all part of his routine. I don't know what's going on. I'm horrified. I had been stunned for a few seconds. Leonie must have come out to check the source of the noise, as her surprised gasp was the thing that broke me out of my shock. I asked her to call our medical team while I began to turn Kevin onto his back. Luckily, he opened his eyes after I rolled him.
Wow, hey, OP. What?
Are you all right? Have you eaten today? Is passing out a common occurrence with you? I cut him off, asking the basic first aid questions, making him laugh.
Oh, yeah, nah. It happens when I get excited. I'm fine, ha ha ha.
This is too awkward for words. I'm dying inside, dude. Some push-ups, some nap time, then I'll be ready to take those plates in the back. How about you just fucking take the plates, bro? I helped him up and picked up the plates myself. I sat him down in the back room and told him to just wait for the medical team right there, placing the plates next to him as I ran back to the restaurant. God, this whole day sounds like a nightmare. He is not helping. Can you send him home? I would recommend just sending him home. So, working on my own, I soon brought a new pile of dirty plates into the back room. The previous pile was gone, meaning that the cleaning crew had picked them up. But Kevin was nowhere to be seen either. I walked to the washers with the intent to ask them if the medical team had already walked by. However, to my surprise, the cleaning crew was idle. They asked me if there were any clients yet. I replied that yeah, we were almost full. Didn't they see the plates that I left? Where did Kevin take these plates, bro? He's washing him in the bathroom or something stupid. They shook their heads no and went to pick up the latest ones that I had set down in order to wash them. I thought for a moment before I put the pieces together. Walking back to the previous room, I walked into the supervisor's office. Hey, OP, you want some? Asked Kevin as he was using the client's forks and knives to eat the leftovers off of their plates. Bro, he is mentally, he's not fit to work, honestly. No wonder his mom takes care of him. Initially, I was dunking on him, but obviously he needs a handler. This is so not okay. I stared at him, blinking a couple of times. No, thank you, Kevin. You're very kind for offering. You're too fucking nice, OP. Grab him by the scruff of the neck and shake him. I mean, he'll probably have to be on his knees while you shake him, but you can do that. Kick the back of his knees. Are you sure you can eat the client's food like that? I hope all your vaccines are up to date, champ. Very subtle. I coyly added this. I mean, maybe I should have told him to stop, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Plus, he looked so content. He's sitting there getting paid for this bullshit, all right? Kevin's smile faltered for a moment. Oh, shit, you mean they weren't done with it? Oh, I'm sorry, man. You just dumped this pile of plates there, and I thought I could help myself to them. Also, vaccines, that's total bullshit, man. Oh, man, that explains a lot, honestly. Kevin replied as he picked up another one of the plates and began to lick the béarnaise sauce off of it. His suit was crumpled, had several stains of sauce on the collar and sleeves, dust bunnies from his brief meeting with the floor, and his black leather shoes were still visibly wet. Nope. All yours. The medicals team should be there shortly. Just wait for them and I guess come back if they give you the green light. Hey, sweet. Do you have any more of that sauce? Kevin began to reply, but I closed the door, pretending not to hear. What a foul creature. I mean, he has a large body mass. I guess he needs this to sustain himself. Maybe he hasn't eaten today. Maybe that's why he passed out. Then again, it's like, combination of fatigue and temperatures and being a big boy. The blood's hard to push around a body that big. Raise your arms above your head? Yeah, that doesn't help. It's no wonder he passed out. I don't know why he did that shit. I guess looking for logic in a Kevin's actions is there is none, is the answer. So about 15 minutes later, Kevin came back. The medical crew performed their checkup and he was fine. Yeah, at least physically. Can they check him mentally? He's not fine, okay? I'm gonna tell you that much. I assigned him to the most simple of tasks, cleaning up the tables where clients had already left. I didn't want to risk him doing another warm-up if I asked him to walk up the case of stairs. And on the plus side, he was pretty eager to clean them tables because whenever he did, he would then go into the back room and make the dish cleaner's life a bit easier, as he would eat all the leftovers and lick the saucers clean. That's so foul. I hate it. Why are you doing this? I even walked by him while he was sipping unfinished sodas straight from the client's glasses. I figured as long as he wasn't drinking wine or alcohol, it wouldn't be too bad. I chatted a bit with him. He asked me what my favorite anime was. No, I don't watch cartoons. And sadly, the conversation ended quickly, as I wasn't cultured enough to rival his wits on that topic. God, dude. This is so horrible. He's not just a Kevin. He's also a neckbeard, right? Kind of one of those clueless neckbeards that we like to laugh at. I guess he's not done anything too horrible so far, aside from being utterly and completely incompetent at the job. Eventually, a VIP I knew well gestured me to her table. mere seconds after I brought her the medium rare steak that she had ordered. She exclaimed that her steak was too cooked. I apologized for the inconvenience and told her that I would get her a new one shortly. However, it seems like I was a fool, because Kevin had a better idea.
Nah, man, don't get her a new one. This one's just fine. Just ask the kitchen to uncook it in the freezer.
There was no laughter. The lady and I performed a polite giggle at his pleasantry, but Kevin, yeah, he was not laughing. Oh my god, dude.
What? You don't know? That's how it works. Oven cooks, freezer uncooks. Have you never made ice cubes before? I'm serious.
No, no, not this. Oh my god. He was serious, basking in his knowledge, unworthy of his intellect. The lady and I soon replied, "Have you ever cooked anything for yourself? Did your parents drop you a few dozen times as a baby?" Dear readers, I hope you understand who said which lines. From this point, a heated argument to try and explain to Kevin the laws of thermodynamics. He wouldn't budge as he kept bringing up ice cubes. Yeah, what else do I need to know? I cooked ice cubes. I uncooked water before. Kevin probably would burn water if he tried to boil it. He'd find a way. When he began to raise his voice at us, I quickly dismissed him to the back room before the client got angry. I put her coffee on the house when the bill came. I mean, you should put the steak on the house too. Kevin's ruining everybody's experience. Finally, it was the end of my shift. Oh, glorious. I decided, like often on Saturday nights, to celebrate our victory, making a pot of hot tea because I need my dose, man. I'm an addict. To each their own, I suppose. And setting it up with 2 cups on a platter, and I brought it all to the kitchen where W still was. The rest of the crew was gone after they got yelled at, meaning that we had the kitchen to ourselves to have a chat and a drink to calm down. W sipped from his cup and opened a register of documents before putting his large finger over a paper that had today's date on it.
OP, look at these bastards. The price for today's meat was alright, but look how much they charged us for butter, of all things. The price just keeps increasing.
He ranted, making me smirk and nod as I drank. I was about to reply when a voice retorted first.
Dude, of course butter's expensive. Almost all the whales are dead.
God. What? Butter comes from whales? Yeah, I saw a movie about whale butter. They use it to like light lamps and stuff. I think it's different than what you're thinking about, Kevin. Please stay out of affairs of which you know nothing about, Kevin. I had managed to go the whole night without Kevin stepping into the kitchen. He must have performed a quick warm-up and followed me when I went down the stairs with the drinks in my hand.
What?
Coldly replied W, making Kevin burst out laughing.
Dude, you don't know? Are you really a chef? You see whales, right? Whales, huh? Well, they cut them up, and they squeeze the butter out of their cheeks. That's butter, and it's salty from the sea.
I don't... Where do I start with fixing this? Just no. Go home, Kevin. The shift is over, Kevin. It's salty from the sea. I can imagine his mom is just like, "That's right, Kevin. You're such a creative boy." And everybody else is like, "I think he's damaged in some type of way." This is not okay. Well, my jaw just dropped. I could see W's tighten, and his face picked up a shade of scarlet red. The last time I had seen him angry was when a colleague of mine dropped a whole platter of dishes down the stairs. I had to act,
Oh, by the way, Kevin, you should go see Leedy at the bar. She wanted to see you. Oh, man, score! God damn it. He exclaimed, bouncing on his legs and nodding quickly before making his way up the stairs once more. Probably just saved him from the wrath of God. Maybe you should have let him suffer from it, though. I think you're being a little bit too nice to an idiot, OP. If he doesn't get hurt, then he's never gonna learn. That's how that be. I slowly picked up W's cup and began to fill it to the top. Both of the chef's fists dropped hard on the metal counter, sending my poor cup to bounce off of it and spill. Who the fuck is that string bean looking moron? Did you hear what he said? Is that the famous new guy that Pick told me about? He began, and I handed him his cup and I set the pot down. Calm down, chef. You don't know the half of it. I started to tell him of the events of the day with Kevin. He cackled sometimes, but mostly he did the disappointed parent head shake as my recollection went on. I'm gonna call Pick later. Come with me. I want this fucking condom commercial out of here. Now! Condom commercial. Oh my God, that's the greatest insult. I'm adding that to the box. Thank you so much, W. What a genius. Wiping the tea off the counter and picking up the cups, we took the stairs to the bar. Before we reached the bar, W and I heard something that could only be described as a huge popping sound, followed by a splash. Like 10 bottles of champagne being opened without holding the cork, all at once. God damn it, dude. We arrived to see Kevin drenched in a puddle of liquid, holding half a shaker, with the missing half on the floor. Leedy was next to him, covering her ears. He told me that if he could make a cocktail that I liked, then I had to go out with him. And then he poured one soda of each kind we had in the shaker, and yeah, there we are. A suicide, like a 12-year-old kid, first time going crazy at McDonald's. So for those who might not know, bartending 101, never shake fizzy drinks. You'll end up like that one bartender who dies in that super old Flash game that we played. Kevin looked confused and picked up the shaker from the floor. Dude, what the fuck? Give me another chance, Leedy. I just have to hold it tighter. Oh, don't give him another chance. Get him out now. And because karma does work, of course, the apprentice mixologist didn't get this chance, as W let out a scream that startled everyone around. Get the fuck out! You're fired! Rip headphone users. Kevin's smile faltered, and he looked at each of us before picking up a bottle of cola and walking to the back room to pick up his bag. Yeah, go tell mommy that she got your ass fired. This is so ridiculous, dude. This is like next level idiocy. I ain't never seen nothing like that. So on Monday, when Pick came, I made sure to stay around to hear W yelling at him to check people's history instead of just believing every word. It was delightful. Well, there you have it. A couple weeks after the event, he came to the restaurant with his family for dinner. Does he have a family? I bet he doesn't have a wife. By family, you mean like his mommy and his daddy, right? Who are just hanging on, who wishes that somebody would come to take this burden off of their hands. He told them that I was a super chill dude, so yay, I guess. I hope wherever he is now, he's still making his ice cubes and his mom makes him magic steaks that he can uncook at will. Thank you for making it this far. Take care and do stay hydrated.
Well, isn't that a happy ending? The whole clan came down the beanstalk to see how the little people prepare their whale butter, right? All I can really say for Kevin is at least he has some work experience now. I worked for 1 day over at that casino. Oh, that's great. Slap that on a resume. Somebody will probably make the mistake of hiring you again if they are a completely incompetent manager like Pick. I do hope that he gets some comeuppance at some point in the future, and I know that he will because karma usually turns out. If you guys did enjoy this episode, I hope that you like, comment, and or subscribe. Do all those things because that's pretty cool. I appreciate it so very much. Also, make sure that you're sharing the video around if you want. You know, I like that. Helps us to extend our reach upon the internet, and that's MVP stuff. We got all kinds of links in the description, plugs, playlist, podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Teespring, Amazon affiliate, etc., etc. Thank you in advance for that. We've also got my social medias, Twitch, where we live stream this whole thing, Twitter, Discord, Facebook. We've also got my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons and channel members, whom I would like to thank as I do every episode, Jerry much. So thank you to Billy D, Robert Waits, Carrie Sepulveda, Brandon Ashcraft, John Indoors, Phantom Danica, Train Boy, Liquor Lush Loser, Origami Steve, Skylar May, The Gypsy Barber, Fire Drake, Samantha, Death's Flagship, Bearded Snake, Buy Two, Get One Hand. Oh my God, we are growing in the YouTube members department. If you'd like to join them, do click that join button down there, and then we'll go ahead, head off into a Patreon. I'll tell you all about those beautiful people. We got Darth Luscious, Harley Hogan, Robert Waits, Camille Sarah, Chancellor Blue Kraken, Roxanne Wolf, Sim Jerry, Conrad Ingy, Captain Clown Jerry, ... ellipses, Aaron Jerry, Esteban, for all playing sign, make Dayton cry fine. Oh, God. It's been a success already. Michael Shambliss, Origami Steve, Bean Tom with a bag of marbles with Del Jerry, beg for forgiveness, Silent Revolver, PCB, Fluxer, the Jerry of Industry, the original Jerry, Ravencraft, Kick Jerry, Destiny Piper, Jerry Kitsune, Salty Wizard, 211 Jerry, the two Jerrys, a very tired Jerry, a Justy Dargonian Jerry, and Frankenberry, ain't that a hiding pitch though? Assassin Pug Jerry, Aurora Wildheart, Baby Jerry, Bailey Joy, Peter Jerry, Benji and the Jets, Bill Duvik, Bitch Gremlin, Blade the Hero, Little Jerry, Bronze Dragon, Catholic Jerry, Commander J Tank, Dennis Dayton, Dr. Lux, Aaron Era, Espars, Frozen Never Studio, Gento at the Doodles, commissions open, Hadrian BR, I'm Slim Jerry, yes, I'm the real Jerry, all you want Slim Jerry's are just imitating, Inquisitor Jerry, Irish Pirate, Iron Hollow, Irradiant Jam, JM Coon, Jerry Blacktail, Jerry Outlaw, Mother Trucker, Jerry Maya was a bullfrog, John Hero, Crewy, Cuddly Kraken, Lady in Awakening, Legitimate Earth, Miss Monday, Lord Jerry, Lucavex was a bullfrog, he was a good friend of mine, never understood a single thing he said, but I helped him drink his wine, like and subscribe, Lady Dix, Malama Man, Melgar the Destroyer, Metal Factor, Necromancer, Nix, Needless King 89, Paragon Soul, Phantom of the Pines, Jerry Jerry Beth, Queens, Quaaludes and Quagmires, Ramtide Lacrimates, Rose, Jerry Miller, Sarita the Lolita, Soxy Octopus, Scarlet Kevin, Sergeant Gay Cop, Bringer of the Law, Silo Whip, Stephanie Gooder, Synaptic Boomstick, Brilliant Tomago, Tapioca Blue, the Gypsy Barber, the Italian Greyhound Dino, the Little Sue, the Wardrobe Fuzzy, trying to find a marble to get back to the real world, you probably don't want to blow into that balloon knot, Sticky Balloon, Vanguard Angel, Victor Cordero, Viking Jerry, Void the Comet Destroyer, Wiki Tech, Zephyr Gargoyle or Clay, Void Set Collector of Cringe, Commodore Mooney, Kira, not another Jerry, but he is though, Cage Alex 9, Redwind, Nog Viper, Saint Blessing Third Step, Venom Jerry, Wasabi Jerry, Jace Christensen, One Leg Jerry, the Neckbeard Hunter, a Norman Jerry, holds up a giant bag of popcorn, Broadway Oak Stacks, and I'll share, Admiral T-Tank, Amber Alder, another stupid hipster, Atomic Jerry Zilla, Bartender Kelia, Big Dad Wolf, Blueberry Apple Pie, Broken Spine, Horse Radish, Cake Jerry, California Jerry Girl, Chevron 7 Lock, Chicago Panda, Koi Desart, sometimes, Cowbunga Cody, Crypt Titties, Define Jerry, Def Tuna, Dopamine Dane Jerry is Dwarfy Dude, Ghost of Alpha, he cannot, Janitor Jerry is roaming the streets of Finland, hunting down the Rudo Headband, Jeffrey, Geralt of Arabia, Jerry and Tom versus Happy New Year's, Weeaboo Apocalypse, Jerry, but with 2 S's and an E. Say Jesse Pinkman, Jerry Springer, the results are in, you are not the Neckbeard. Jerry the Sunday Vodka, Jerry's mom's got it going on, Jerry Aldo Rivera, Jerry Rocksters, Jerry Role Playing Game, Keaton Tails, Carrie Sepulveda, Kid Marvelous, Defender of the Innocent, Enemy to the Bearded, yeah, me too, bro, Kinsey Kid, Lucia Lovecraft, Machia CD, maybe next time you'll get Miss Duchess, not Invisible Angel, Raptor, Seldom Dark, She's my Jerry Pie, Skymara Ravenswood, Snary, that's Nom Jerry, Spoonie the Rogue, Spoopy Scabby, Jerry Ton, Techno Dubs, the original Jerry, but he's not though. There are 2 wolves inside me, spit roasted Jerry, to Infinite Jerry and beyond, took care of Snowbeard, sent him back to Boof Chris Trucker, oh god, not the love dumpster, no! Unkale, throws 2 liter Mountain Dew, grow my Neckbeard, grow! It's Jerry time, holds ReddX Morpher, Hygiene, it's Jerry time, holds ReddX Morpher, Humility, Dilf Jerry, and thank you to my beautiful $1 patrons as well. Bless up all the Jerrys and not Jerrys alike. Thank you guys so much for supporting. If you can join them in supporting monetarily, that is huge. If you can't do it right now, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you'll come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there. Wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe like, watching some more ReddX videos, right? If you'd like a heart and a comment on your comment, go ahead and say something about, I can't believe it's not whale butter, and I'll seek those out. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, my friends, bye-bye.